When you think of getting ready for back to school, you typically think of buying the school supplies, getting back into the routine. But how prepared are you when your child brings home those back to school germs? Dr. Tolu Alajide with Cone Health Community Pharmacy is here to talk about restocking your back to school medicine cabinet to help you and your family stay healthy this year. All right, so let's talk about some of those key items, especially when it comes to the coughs, the colds, the fevers, the really common things that kids get.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So generally we recommend using over-the-counter cough and cold medicines for children starting at least 4 years old. Exceptions do exist, but if for children younger than 4, it's definitely recommended that you talk to your doctor before giving them anything over the counter. But most of us are already familiar with this medicine known as Tylenol or acetaminophen. This is very helpful for fighting off fever. It can also give pain relief as well. It's typically okay to use for both infants and adults, so you get a large age range there, and that's unlike most over-the-counter cough and cold medications. Now, for your kids that are above 4 years old or 4 years old and up that are struggling with something like chest congestion, we use something called guaifenesin, which you may see marketed as Mucinex or Robitussin mucus. It comes in both liquid, syrup, and even packet form. So if they're struggling to take pills, it's definitely a good alternative. And to help combat the cough or suppress the cough, you can use dextromethorphan, which you might also see as Delsum or Robitussin cough. And then with all these medications, of course, it's important that you pay attention to the dosing, know your child's age and weight, so you can give them the correct dose, which is usually listed on the bottle or on the box of medicine.
Right, that is key, knowing their age and knowing their weight, because some of those things may have been tinkered with over the last few years, so you really do need to look at that box for that dosing. All right, so what about the adult family members? Because they may have a lot of the same cold, cough, all that other kind of jazz. Anything different for them?
So with adults, you can typically use the same medications. So as I mentioned, Tylenol for fever, guaifenesin for the chest congestion, dextromethorphan to suppress the cough. The only thing is that you want to make sure you're taking note of the dose and the formulation. You know, some medicines you'll see them like ibuprofen junior, they're for the kids, but then making sure you have the correct formulation for your age and you're not mistakenly giving your children,
The
the
adult
adult formulation
size,
of that medication.
right, the
Yes.
adult size and then the junior size for you. Everybody needs to take the right medication for them. Got it. Okay, well, that's good to know. All right, because I think sometimes we just think, oh, I'll just take whatever's in the medicine cabinet. So, all right, so let's talk about stomach bugs because that always happens. What should caregivers keep at home to help their kids and themselves with the stomach bug?
That is a great question. So with stomach bugs, it's best to really start with prevention. Stomach bugs can be caused by a lot of different things. So you want to make sure that your children know and everyone in your family about proper hygiene, making sure you're washing your hands before and after meals, and that they know not to eat anything that's been sitting out at room temperature for too long. So for both children and adults, when recovering from stomach bugs, it's best, stay hydrated, making sure they're, stocking up in their Pedialyte and water. You don't have to chug a huge amount of fluid, but taking frequent sips throughout the day can really help replenish the fluid that was lost once you were sick. And if your children are struggling with, nausea, you can try Dramamine Kids or Benadryl for children 6 and up. And if your child is complaining of vomiting with fever or nausea with fever, or if they've been vomiting for 8 hours or more, it's best to, speak to their pediatrician because they likely need additional tests for a more targeted treatment.
It's interesting that it all starts with the hand washing to avoid that whole norovirus from the get-go, for sure. Okay.
Yes.
All right, sports injuries, they can happen anytime. What are some of the must-have supplies for treating those minor injuries at home?
Yeah, another great question. I would recommend definitely stocking a first aid kit in your house and maybe also in your car. So maybe if you're on the field when it happens, you can just run to your car and get the kit and, apply what you need to right then and there. For minor scrapes, I would recommend something like isopropyl alcohol or hydrogen peroxide before applying bandages. I'd also recommend for, pain, the inflammation, reaching for Tylenol or acetaminophen first. It also doesn't hurt to also pack ice packs as well.
Got it, for sure. All right, so stress can be really high during the school year, especially like the first couple of weeks, which can lead to things like headaches, tummy aches. What should you have at home to help with that?
Yeah. So, a few ways to prevent stress is definitely, you want to make sure you're staying hydrated. It seems like a small thing, but making sure that you have enough fluids and aiming for an adult at least 2 liters a day. And I know it might seem a little daunting, but it can actually help a lot to help prevent the headaches and also stave off headaches that are forming. In terms of medication, again, I'm gonna say it a lot, but Tylenol is our first go-to. Compared to other medications that over the counter for pain, this is they're all safe, but this is what we consider kind of the safest to use, especially if you're having to, have repeated doses. It can just be less harmful with repeated use. And I will do a little plug here. Another non-pharmacological way to manage stress is to, sign up for a home delivery program from at a Cone pharmacy for your medications. This can help you avoid one stressor of visiting the pharmacy and by having your prescriptions delivered to your home.
Yeah, just taking a stress off your plate, right? One less thing off the to-do list. Okay. All right,
Yes,
we're going
ma'am.
to be back with a few more how to stock your medicine cabinet for back to school. That'll be after this break.